Hello everyone, welcome to our homelessness class. The class is called The Issues and Causes of Homelessness, and I want to start out by telling you a story. It's a story about Charleston, West Virginia, Washington, D.C., and Portland, Maine. What do they all have in common, you ask? That would be a great question. To get to Charleston, West Virginia from Portland, Maine, you must travel through one of a number of airports, including one airport in Washington, D.C., as there are no direct flights between the two cities. And conversely, coming back from Charleston, West Virginia to Portland, Maine, the traveler must repeat the trip in reverse. I was traveling back to Maine from West Virginia on really an unremarkable week in August last year when I found myself in Washington, D.C., and my flight to Portland, Maine had been canceled. As it turns out, it was the last flight of the day to Portland. The overworked clerk at the airline counter quickly snapped at me, "We've booked you on the next flight to Portland, Maine, which leaves at 9:30 a.m. Looked at my watch and it read 9:30 p.m. and my mind started racing. "Where am I going to stay tonight?" I blurted out loud. I pleaded with the clerk for a hotel room, a blanket, pillow, some pajamas, maybe even a teddy bear. Nothing. In fact, she snapped, "It's your problem, not mine." Resigned to my fate and thankful that the airport floor was carpeted, I staked out a spot on the floor with probably 100 other people in the same situation. They weren't all going to Portland, different places. At about 1 a.m., after several uncomfortable twists and turns on the floor, I had this bright idea to leave one airport in D.C. and go to another one where perhaps I could get an earlier flight to Portland. I'm a smart, resourceful person, I concluded. A subway ride to the end of the line and a mile or so walk later, and I arrived at the other airport in D.C. only to find that it was closed until 4:30 a.m. Another glance at my watch, 2:15 a.m. So there I was on the sidewalk in a warm, muggy D.C. evening. No place to sit, stand, or lie down. Exhausted, I stuffed my travel bag under my head and snuggled up next to the concrete trash can near the entryway to the airport. So much for my resourcefulness and even my rationale at this point, I would say. The airport door opened and I was awakened by a security guard announcing that I couldn't sleep on the sidewalk. My back aching, pounding headache, stiff joints, I stumbled into the airport and eventually made my way back to Maine. For the next 3 days, I continued to be sore and unfocused. I realize this is nothing compared to the daily struggles which most people who are homeless face. The challenge someone who is homeless faces not to be sure if they're going to get in the shelter to get a bed for the night, the constant pressure to find a place to sit or sleep, or even where to keep your personal belongings or access to food. I never experienced homelessness, and I realized that my trip had, with this trip I realized that some of the things I really take for granted are things that are luxuries for people who are homeless. Things like access to a change of clothes, a private place to change them, a private shower, or a place to sit and eat a meal, all appear to be luxuries if you're homeless. As an introduction to the issue of homelessness, we'll be exploring some of the issues and causes. For many people, it's easy to simply dismiss someone who's homeless as being unmotivated or lazy. Others may argue that the accommodations at the local shelters are too luxurious, which keeps people from finding an apartment and moving on. But for some people who are homeless, even the concept of living in an apartment is overwhelming. Mental illness, substance abuse, even issues with sharing an apartment can all be magnified for someone who's homeless for a lengthy period of time. The federal government defines chronic homeless as someone who has been homeless for 6 months or longer, or someone who's had 3 or more episodes of homelessness in a 12-month period. I'm confident as you read the materials and listen to the podcasts during this first week of class that you'll consider the question of what are some of the struggles of people who are homeless. How much stress does living on the street or in a shelter exert on one person? Thank you.